Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Monday, March the 20th, and the round of 32 just completed yesterday in the NCAA Tournament. We're down to the Sweet 16 with 8 games taking place on Thursday and Friday, and we're going to cover a couple of them. Me and Doug Upstone, who's with me every Monday. So, Doug, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Ross. And you know what? Wasn't it fantastic? I mean, once again, the NCAA tournament just always works. Okay,
Yeah.
whether it works for you or against you, just from a fan standpoint, there's I can't think of anything better. To be able to watch that NCAA basketball. Yeah, it's a lot of games. Nonetheless, it's just consistently excuse me, you get the same thing, game after game, nail biters, everything that could possibly go for or against you keeps coming up, but it's still, it delivers, and it's
Yeah.
just fascinating to watch. And boy, oh boy, I don't know, it's just so much fun. And then now we move ahead to the better teams, or well, I shouldn't say better teams. We move ahead to the 16 teams, okay, that are still left, and hey, we'll see what happens. There's some good matchups, and I think we got a couple of them.
Yeah, and the Big 12, who got a lot of accolades all year, they only got 2 teams left out of the 7 that went into the tournament. The Big 10, with only one of their 8 teams that went into the tournament, I believe was the number
Yep.
still that are left. And lo and behold, the one team that's left is Michigan State, who was mediocre at best to me, even during conference play. And here they are in the Sweet 16 with a good chance of they got a favorable matchup in which they could advance to the Elite Eight. And, you can't underestimate Tom Izzo's ability to coach at this time of year, right, Doug? Not to say that either one of us like Michigan State, but you have to factor that in, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, without question. I mean, the thing is though, and I don't know. I know I'm in the not even the vast majority. I'm in the way minority on this thought, but how is it? And this is more the last couple of years, not necessarily when Izzo was having great recruiting classes and had fantastic players, NBA quality players, but does he deserve just a hint of criticism for how this team played often during the regular season?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, because if they're playing this well now, why were they incapable for the most part of even putting 2 games together like they just played? Again, I'm just, maybe playing devil's advocate here and whatever, but it's really strange to me, about that. But hey, the bigger picture, Big Ten basketball, baby, they got the same amount of teams in the Sweet 16 as Conference USA and the Ivy League. So what does that tell you about Big Ten basketball?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Florida Atlantic and Princeton in the Sweet 16. Those of you out there who predicted that, raise your hand. Now you could kindly put it down, because you're a damn liar. Anyway.
Now to that point, though, I will say that Florida Atlantic was good all year.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm not denying that, but they were picked near the bottom of their conference by in preseason voting.
Yes.
So by the writers within that conference, and it goes to show you how much they know. So no, I not disputing the fact they don't deserve to be there, because they do. They beat Memphis in a close game. We all thought it was going to be a close game, and it lived up to expectations. They escaped with a 1-point win. They get a lucky draw in round 2, facing a Farley Dickinson team that had upset Purdue in the first round. And lo and behold, Farley Dickinson gave them all they can handle. I actually bet against them and laid a big number, thinking, a number 15 seed coming off an upset win like that. It always seems like when you see those big upsets the following game,
right?
Purdue had to be watching that game yesterday and said, how do we lose to these guys? And I'm not trying to take away from their upset win, but if they played Purdue 100 times, they would have lost 99. And that was the one game they beat them. So it's the beauty of the tournament. There's no 2 ways about it, but a couple Cinderellas in there. Florida Atlantic will have their hands full against Tennessee. When we did the show with the Final Four with all 4 of us, I did pick Tennessee out of the East, even though I was reluctant to do so. I just thought the East is so soft. And now here they are in a Sweet 16 matchup against Florida Atlantic, two wins away from reaching the Final Four, and this Tennessee team, like I said, time and time again during the season, especially late in the year, I just thought that their offensive woes, that they seem to go through 5 or 6 minute periods of not being able to score and depending on their defensive prowess so much, that would catch up to them in the NCAA tournament. But it hasn't so far. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and to the point of the game against Duke. Now, I mean, you can look at it any number of different ways. I mean, but obviously, how that game was called had a lot to do with the outcome. Okay, and so that Tennessee able to play extremely physical,
Yep.
and I mean, and it was a great game plan. Okay, you're bigger, you're physical, you're older than Duke, so that was the right game plan. You don't often see games like that called, especially in the first couple of rounds in the NCAA tournament, but it was. So you just have to say, hey, that's everybody has to adjust to what was called and what goes on. And so it worked for him. And, and I know any number, as it turns out, of, different sharp bettors that were on Tennessee, which I was a little surprised by. And I'm not going to deny I had Duke in the game, from that standpoint. And I was surprised by it. And I got the reasoning, okay, and stuff like that. But, I couldn't get over the fact that Rick Barnes recently in tournament games, 3-15. Now he's 4-15.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it's not like he's a noted great coach, at these times. So it's just, hey, that's all part of it. And, now I didn't ask you, did you watch any of the Northwestern UCLA game at all?
I missed the end of it. I had Northwestern. I saw the final score. I was happy that it won. And until you explained exactly what transpired at the end of the game, I did not realize that, but go right ahead.
But did you watch some of the game?
I watched early on, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about, last Friday we were talking about, or Saturday we were talking about offenses and all the unders and stuff like that. But that game to me was a true pleasure to watch because you had two offenses that ran really good offense, ball movement, players with their heads up, aware of cutters coming through. It was, I mean, to me, from a standpoint of just watching the games, the most pleasurable games that I watched.
Pure fundamentals. It was fundamentally sound, that game.
Yeah, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They had a plan, and they were able to execute it against good defenses.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that I really enjoyed, from the viewing standpoint, that game as much as any of the ones that I saw. Of the almost all of the ones I saw at least parts of it this weekend.
Yeah, you got to give Chris Collins a lot of credit. I mean, that's a Northwestern program that I don't believe ever made the NCAA tournament until he took the reins about 5 years ago. Now he's got them to 2 tournaments. They advanced to the second round for the first time ever. If they did make the tournament, Doug, there was a long amount of time in between.
Yeah, it's one or the other. Either they had not, or it had been a really long time. Yep.
Yeah, so give him a lot of credit for getting him to that point. Look, Mick Cronin is an excellent coach. If people don't realize it by now, he did a great job over at Cincinnati. He's gone to UCLA in a high-pressure situation, and they're contending for a national title, it seems like, every year since he's been there. And we're going to be talking about the UCLA-Gonzaga game. That's what Doug's going to be covering. And Doug, I tell you what, if it's any replica of what we saw a couple of years ago in 2021 in the NCAA tournament, we're in for a dandy. They did meet earlier this year, and Gonzaga blew UCLA out by 20. Now, it was early in the year, so keep that in mind. But right now, Doug, I got UCLA as a 2-point favorite. The total's 145.5. This game did open as a pick'em and quickly moved to 2. So what's your thoughts?
All right, so here, I'm looking at UCLA. Okay, arguably they have the 2 best senior players in the tournament. Okay, with Tiger Campbell and Jaime Hayes. Okay, so those guys are both really good players. They're just smart. They're veteran players that they've seen, literally done it all. and they're two of their top scorers, so everything's in place. This is a team that is not reliant on the 3-point ball, and part of the reason they don't have to be is because they run such good offense. Hayes, he really is very good at finding 2-point shots, maneuvering around, got good quick moves. Tiger Campbell able to just go through any defense with his tremendous speed, and he's very good at the rim. So that's another thing that's important for them. And their defense has gotten better as the season has worn along. They're just a little over 40% now in terms of shooting percentage. Now Gonzaga, I mean, we pretty much know the story with them. Drew Timme seems like he's in his 10th year at Gonzaga. So I mean, he's been around a long time, leads them in scoring and rebounding. They have lots of offensive weapons. Okay, that's why they're averaging over 80 some points a game. I do like Julian Strather. I like what he is. Good playmaker, good wing player, 6'7", listed as a guard, and his 3-point shooting got better as the season rolled along. And Anton Watson is also a good player. I do have two concerns about them, though. Is that number one, if you saw their game against Grand Canyon, their big thing, and when we did the video, I talked about Gonzaga's guards had gotten better. Okay, when we did the video with Sean and I can't think of his name. Jesse, sorry. We did that, and their backcourt was horrible in the first half against Grand Canyon. They looked as bad as they'd looked at any game. Now they got better second half. They played pretty good yesterday against TCU, but not great. Okay, so that's really a concern going against a UCLA backcourt, that could make steals and stuff like that. And the other thing that concerns me is they don't have a rim protector. They don't have anybody. Timmy's just, he's basically a power forward. Okay, is what he is, and they don't have that guy right now. So that's a concern, and their defense can be, the defensive numbers are okay, but they're not great. So I'm looking at the -2. Okay, I'm looking. So they got two things on this game. Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Clark, out with an Achilles. Okay, we knew that going in. Saturday night, David Singleton had a really bad-looking sprain on his ankle. He is listed as questionable as we're doing this video. So if he can't go, that would mean UCLA would be without their 3rd and 5th leading or top scorers. So if he doesn't play, I'm going to recommend Gonzaga. Okay, and I'm going to guess if he doesn't play, UCLA probably be 1 or a pickup. If not, if Singleton does play, then I'm going to go with UCLA because I think they have enough offense with having him in the lineup, and also with their defense going against weaker Gonzaga guards. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but I think injury in this case has a lot to do with the potential outcome of the game. So that's the direction I'm going to go, Ross.
Yeah, UCLA, as I recall, and I again, don't quote me on this, guys, but they're in the bottom 3rd in terms of bench minutes. So it's as good as they are. Mick Cronin doesn't play 9-10 guys or doesn't get a lot of production beyond his top 6 or 7. So that is a concern. I would say that this line moved from a pick'em to 2, which leads me to believe that they opened as a pick'em, wanting to know this kid's status and what Doug's concern was in that regard. And now they're with him being listed as questionable, they make it at 2. I think if he's deemed probable to play, that line might go up to 2.5 or 3, very easily. So something to keep an eye on. So there you have it. It certainly doesn't convey as a confusing message when you make it simple and say, if the kid's name again, Doug, it slips my mind.
Singleton.
Yeah. If Singleton plays for UCLA, Doug likes UCLA. If he doesn't, he's going to lean toward Gonzaga. So real simple. And keep an eye on the line movement, folks. That will tell you a lot about his player status. Because these two teams played an instant classic 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament with Gonzaga came away with a 3-point win. I hit a 3 right at the buzzer, if I recall. It might have been an overtime, if I recall correctly.
It might have been. Yeah, I know it was Jalen Suggs.
And he hit a buzzer beater. Yeah, from about 30 feet. It wasn't a normal 3-point shot. So, again, they played earlier this season. Gonzaga wins by 20 there. But what concerns me about Gonzaga is I've had them in the first 2 games. So, of course, I have concerns because they didn't cover for me on each occasion. But they got up 20 on Grand Canyon. They were in full control of the game. They let Grand Canyon score on their last 8 offensive possessions, which cost me the cover. Okay, so, I don't want to cry about spilled milk there because things like that happen. Defensive intensity lessons when you get a big lead. I get all that, okay? But then the other night, the same thing. Their defensive intensity down the stretch in that win yesterday left a lot to be desired for me. They had an excellent opportunity to pull away in that game. And once again, they gave up a high percentage of makes on the other team's offensive possessions. So we'll see. I mean, if that continues, it's bound to bite them in the behind at some point because teams are going to get a lot better they're facing now. Nothing against Grand Canyon, but and nothing against who they played yesterday. But in any event, let me look at UConn and Arkansas. UConn right now, 3.5-point favorite, total 139.5. UConn is one of three Big East teams left in a tournament. Only one other conference has 3 teams left. That's the SEC. There you have it. They have more teams. The SEC and Big East have more teams in the Sweet 16 than the Big 12 and Big 10 combined. Well, no, the same as the Big 12 and Big 10 combined. So you never know. When you hear about a conference being so strong all season long, the Big East quietly went about their business, a little bit of a top-heavy conference, but still their top teams are very good. UConn, Creighton, who am I missing, Doug?
Xavier.
Yeah. So 3 really good teams. However, let's talk about this matchup. Arkansas coming off wins versus Illinois and Kansas definitely have played 2 tougher opponents than UConn has seen, with UConn beating they beat Iona. And then on Saturday, they beat who did they?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Yesterday
probably,
it was.
Probably a trivia question for all time.
Yeah.
Who's the only team to play the Gales twice in the same year?
That's right. How about that? And only one handicapper I know would have thought of that when we were talking about this. Anyway, Doug, you mentioned the other day that UConn, you have to divide it up in 3 seasons. They started out 14-0. They went through a lull. And then they're 11-2 in their last 13, with their only losses coming against 2 NCAA teams, NCAA tournament teams, by a combined 5 points. And Creighton and who else did they lose to here? I believe it's Xavier. Marquette by 2 in the Big East semifinal, and also at Creighton they lost by 3. So, but here's the thing: and if you look at their non-conference games, when they struggle, it was within their conference. I mean, in non-conference games this year, UConn has gone 13-0 straight up and 12-1 against the spread. In the lone game they didn't cover, they were laying 21 against Buffalo, and they won the game by 20. So they've really stepped it up in non-conference play. Teams, whether it be they played a little more inferior opposition during that time, which is somewhat the truth, or the fact that, their style of play, if you don't see them all the time, is very difficult to handle. They're very physical, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. They get after you defensively. They got a lot of size and a lot of athleticism. So if you haven't seen them before, like their fellow Big East Conference, or don't see them on a regular basis, I'm going to make an excuse for these non-conference teams. They're a difficult matchup in that regard. UConn also, their last 8 offensively, Doug, almost 80 points a game and shooting over 50% in their last 8 games. Also dominated on the glass during that court through the course of the year. They're a +9 rebound per game differential, which is enormous. Like I said, number 2 in offensive rebounding. And over their last 5 games, their 3-point shooting has really picked up as they're hitting 38.6% of their 3-point shots and making 10 per game, which is a very high. Anytime you get into double-digit makes on average over a substantial amount of time, 5 games being on the lower half of that still, that's some pretty good 3-point shooting when you play defense and rebounding the way they do. Arkansas, on the other hand, look, they're a terrible 3-point shooting team. That's not their game. They're number 300 and something in terms of 3-point percentage shooting. They're number 333 3 when it comes to free throw attempts allowed. So that's something to be concerned with too, because UConn hits close to 76% of their free throws. So I just don't think it's a good matchup for Arkansas. And I think UConn is gelling at the right time, Doug. I'm going to lay the 3.5 here with UConn over Arkansas.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And what I agree with that, not only that, I wouldn't be surprised if that drops to 3, because I think there's going to be enough SEC money in terms of, and them having beating Kansas. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that number will come down a little bit. It might not, but I don't know what the record is of teams that beat number 1 seeds in their following game. I don't know that I've ever seen that. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but it's not a good situation typically, because you put so much into that.
Yeah.
You're so pleased with yourself. And then you're also, in this case, you're knocking off the defending champions, of which it was a number 1 seed going in. So obviously they were among the favorites. So I just don't know you come back with the same fervor, okay,
Yeah.
in the game. So Arkansas is definitely playing better. There's no denying that. But I think Connecticut is on a higher trajectory. And I like Connecticut as well, Ross.
Yeah, Eric Musselman's a hell of a coach for Arkansas. Tremendous coach. And he had success at Nevada, got them to the Elite 8. He's had success at Arkansas. I believe they got to the Elite 8 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So if not last year, the year before. So he's a good coach, and he's 1 win away from getting to the Elite 8 again. However, I just think UConn to me has that look upon them, Doug. Sometimes your eye test, you have to trust your eyes. They have that look to say they were number 1 earlier in the year for a brief amount of time. They have that look right now saying we're the best team in the country, and we're going to show you every time we go out on the floor. And it's gelling at the right time. Danny Hurley has calmed down a little bit now, because I think he doesn't have to be so intense as he was prior to this year, because he didn't have the talent level he has now on this specific roster. And this team's good enough to go all the way. And Arkansas is certainly capable of beating them, but I'm going to lay my chips on UConn here. And Doug also, he told you he likes UCLA if Singletary's playing, and he likes Gonzaga if he's not. So keep an eye on that going forward, folks. Doug, tell the folks what you may have coming up this week. Any good streaks you want to talk about?
Absolutely. Well, I'll be honest, college basketball hasn't been that great, okay, in the tournament. So you know what? So the idea now is just to keep striving to have a winning tournament, okay, overall. And that's what the plan is going forward. And whether that be CBI, NIT, you name it, okay, we'll just try and get it done. Now, conversely, some really good stuff. 20-10 recently in the NBA. A couple of winners again over the weekend on that one, including a 6-unit best bet with Oklahoma City on Sunday. Nice come from behind victory there. So 20-10, up over $3,200. And hey, I've won 5 years in a row in the NBA. I'm looking to make it 6. So, and I'm on the right path to get that done yet again. NHL picked up some more winners over the weekend as well, trending just almost, just a hair over 57% recently. Some mixture, because I don't play all favorites, but primarily favorites. So the numbers in terms of profit aren't huge, but certainly going in the right direction. And Ross, 10 days from opening day.
There you go.
Here we go. Baseball. Here it comes.
I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
No question about that.
Yeah, I am too. I just don't have the same passion. I mean, I equally work as hard in Major League Baseball as I do in any, but it just doesn't excite me, because it's a little bit of a mental letdown after football and March Madness. And then once they get going, then I pick up my fervor, as you would say. So you could find me over at RB Wins. By the way, folks, that's DocSports.com, DocSports.com. Doug's there. 9 other great handicappers as well. They've been in business 53 years. Like I said, longevity speaks volumes in this industry. You can find me at rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. I have a NBA top play total on Monday night. If you see this video in time, I'll have some NIT action going for you tomorrow. My NBA over my last 476 picks. dime bettors have made over 14 grand. Not a huge profit, but a profit over a long period of time. My NBA totals 23 and 16, good for 59%. With my last 39 college basketball NBA totals combined, 59 and 41. And my college basketball top plays, I missed yesterday on my 10-star top play. That makes me 110 and 82 with my last 192. So that's good for 57%, folks. And dime players have made close to $19,000, just short of 19 grand during that course of time. So a lot of good things, rbwins.com. And I guarantee my picks, single game, multi-game package, subscriptions. If you don't make a profit, I will credit your account the exact amount of your purchase price. You could use it at any which way, any which time you like on anything you like. So there you have it, rbwins.com, docsports.com. Folks, don't forget, give us a like at the end of the video as a small token of your appreciation. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, what are you waiting for? You're watching this. You like sports betting. We have some of the best handicappers in the world on this channel. So hit that subscribe button and hit your alert notification bell. You'll be notified right away upon us publishing any of our Winner's Circle sports betting podcasts on this channel. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless.